Hello everyone, this is Tyson with the Miami Association of Realtors bringing you how to best use Form Simplicity. We're going to go over how to create tasks, how to create auto email responses, and of course the whole transaction process from the buyer's end and from the buyer's agent's end and also from a listing agent's perspective when using the Form Simplicity system. Alright, so in order to gain access into Form Simplicity, you will first need to go to the main website, which is miamirealtors.com, located at the top of the website, located up here. Just go up there, put in miamirealtors.com, then go right here where you see the Miami Gateway. All right, once you're here, you will find Form Simplicity within your Gateway PC. You can hit Control F on your keyboard, and then it's going to allow you to search using the keyword Form Simplicity. It'll take you straight to the button. If you have a Mac, you're going to hit Command F in order to begin that search, and then you would type in Form Simplicity, and then when you do so, it's going to highlight the name of the product, making it easier for you to find, located right here. All right, another way that you can access Form Simplicity is by going into Matrix. You would click on CoreLogic Matrix. Once you're there, you can access Form Simplicity by going into your links section, external links located right here, and then you would go right into Form Simplicity located right here. Another way of gaining access into Form Simplicity is by going to the top of Matrix where you see links. You would give that a click, scroll down, and then from there you will find the section Smart Links, and then you'll find Form Simplicity located right here. All right. Now, Form Simplicity will sign you in automatically. It is a part of our single sign-on process. However, if you ever have issues accessing Form Simplicity, you're going to want to contact our membership department by dialing 305-468-7005. All right, the first section I wanted to show you real quick is the notifications section of Form Simplicity. Now, this section is awesome. What that's going to allow you to do is see all of the latest updates and also integration services that you would be able to use along with Form Simplicity. For example, Seller Shield located right here, and of course instructions on how to access that service. An update regarding Rate My Agent being now available. Moving down, and of course updates regarding contracts and addendums. For example, the FAR form updates located right here. All right, moving up, the next section we're going to jump into real quick before you get started that you want to go into before you start creating any type of transactions is the preferences section. I'm going to go ahead and give that a click. All right, so as soon as you click on preference, the first place you want to visit is the section where you see account information located right here. Now, right there you have your name. However, you do have the ability to click on there, and then you have the option to include your middle initial as well if you prefer to include that information located right there. You'll also have access to your NERDS ID, also known as your NRDS ID. Now, that is automatically provided within the account, but I do want to make sure I mention that if you ever want to go to Florida Realtors website directly, for example, floridarealtors.org, or if you ever want to use any of their products such as MLS Advantage or the SunStats system, sometimes maybe our direct single sign-on may not work, but you of course can go to floridarealtors.org, register an account using your NRDS ID. You could create a password. That way you can get into the system, maybe if the single sign-on function within the Miami Gateway is not working. All right, moving down, you also have the ability to update your email address. You have your login ID located here, and your preferred method of contact. Right here, you can enter your work phone number. I'm going to go ahead and enter mine real quick. From there, you can also include your cell phone number and your fax number as well. Now, if you don't have a fax number, each transaction that you create within Form Simplicity will allow you to have a email for both sending and receiving documents for each transaction. Do want to make sure to go over that. All right, over here on the right, you're going to notice that your office information is not editable, meaning you're not going to be able to go into these sections and make any kind of modifications. However, maybe there is a mistake, maybe there is a misspelling within the office name, or maybe we have the wrong office address or even the broker email address. If any of those details are incorrect, what you would want to do is reach out directly to our membership department, and then they can correct that for you. All right, so in order to do that, you're going to email brokers@miamire.com. All right, moving down, you also have this section here on the left, which is form simplicity information. All right, now when it comes to e-sign unlimited document storage is not included within the base version of your membership. If you're looking to have access to the unlimited document storage and unlimited e-sign, you're going to want to do one of two things. You're either going to want to upgrade to the Platinum Plus service, which is by going to miamirealtors.com/Platinum Plus for more information, or you can contact Form Simplicity directly, their sales department, or you can upgrade with them directly if you would like. Moving down, we have the next section, which is general settings. Now, this part is super important. The next part is super important. You do want to make sure to include your email signature by going into the email signature section and then putting that information located right here. Also, what's super important is to make sure that you have your time zone set up with your current time zone. Moving down, we have the next section, which is transaction email address. Now, this is turned on by default automatically, but you want to make sure that you do not touch that. Make sure that you have that on. That way, each transaction that you create has a direct email address available so that you can get updates regarding the process of that transaction, and or that way you can receive any additional all documents pertinent to the transaction. All right, moving down, the next section is the email notifications. Set up tasks. For example, you can set up an automatic email notification whenever you have a task that is due. For example, maybe you're needing to get a signature from one of the sellers. You can create a task. We're going to go through that in just a moment. That way you can get an automatic email whenever that's due. The next one is when an assigned task is marked as complete, when I receive a fax, when I receive an email message and or an attachment, when a transaction is shared with me, when a comment is made on a shared form or file, when my transaction checklist is approved or returned as incomplete. Now, you can set up your own tasks. That's going to help you for reminders whenever something is due for that specific transaction, but also always adhere. Some brokerages do require for you to go through their checklist process, so always make sure to speak to your broker regarding that. All right, moving over, we have the next section, which is the notification settings, located right here. Notifications for transactions shared with me. For example, maybe you're on a team. You can get a notification whenever you're being included within a transaction. You would just flip that on so that you can receive that directly. All right, you can also receive notifications from alternative email addresses. For example, you can put one right there. And of course, a CC option as well. Maybe you have a co-listing agent, or maybe you want to make sure that your broker receives all notifications as well. You can come down there and input their information right there. All right, moving down, we have the next section, which is e-sign preferences and templates, located right here. From there, you can access your Manage e-sign 2.0 preferences and also updating your Manage e-sign 2.0 templates within this menu. And then we have the default recipient ordering right here. And then the next section we have is the security settings, located right here, which you can set up a two-factor authentication, located right here, where you can get a text message whenever your account's being accessed, or an email as well. Moving down, there's also a lot of great services that are integrated within Form Simplicity, such as Google Drive, Google Contacts, Google Calendar, Dropbox, Earnest, Seller's Shield, Rent Spree, and Rate My Agent. In order to integrate these services, you'll need to already have an account so that you can go through the sign-in process so that your account with these respective services are integrated within your Form Simplicity platform. And then the next section we're going to go into is Help, located at the top. This help center is fantastic. It has a lot of great content, not just a search bar where you can type in exactly what you need. For example, you can come over here, put in help with e-sign, and then click on go, or you can come down here, see their current existing knowledge base that's available, how to get started if you're brand new to using Form Simplicity, and all of their videos. Now, they're great videos. They're fairly short. They're straight to the point, and they're going to be able to help you. Moving over, you have training as well, pre-recorded webinars and training, which is going to be a little longer, but they're going to be able to flesh out those videos are going to be able to go over all of the different sections that are part of Form Simplicity, located right here. Not to mention, Form Simplicity does have a tech helpline. They are great and they will help you with whatever need that you have, including how to begin a transaction. In order to access support, you're going to go right here, and their telephone number is 407-587-1450. They are available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. All right, so that is going to be the notifications, preferences, and help section. The next part that I wanted to go into before we start creating transactions is going into the forms library, located right here where you see blank forms. Once you're inside of blank forms, you have 3 libraries that are available. You have the Miami Association of Realtors. This section is going to include required documentation whenever you're making changes to a listing. For example, the status change form. Maybe you're putting a listing off of the market, or maybe the agreement was canceled. You're going to want to fill out the status change form and, of course, take our Matrix 501 where we go over how to use the status change form. You're going to need to, for example, if you make any changes to the status of your listing, you're going to want to make sure that you fill that out, as well as any documents that are required by your brokerage, and of course have your broker and your seller complete the status change form. Another great form that we're going to put into use today is going to be the request for affirmation of presentation of purchase offer form. I wish it had a simpler name. It has a super long name, but long story short, if you're ever working with a buyer, what that form is going to allow you to do is whenever you submit that purchase contract or that lease contract, what you want to do is include this request for affirmation of presentation of purchase offer form. It works as a receipt guaranteeing that you get something back in writing directly from the listing agent, letting you know that either the offer was presented to the seller or the seller, keyword there is the seller, waived for the offer to be viewed. All right, another great one in here is the permission to advertise. Maybe you found a listing in the MLS where the brokerage says, yes, it is okay to advertise the listing, but I want it in writing. So what you would want to do is take advantage of the permission to advertise form, complete it, send that right over to that broker of the listing, have them complete it, and just keep that handy. All right, so that is going to be the quick rundown of some of the different forms that are available within the Miami Association of Realtors section. You do want to make sure you take that Matrix 501 where we go over all of them. All right, the next section is the Florida Realtor section. This is pretty much why you're accessing Form Simplicity. You have your listing agreements, you have your addendums, your purchase to contract forms located here under Florida. All right, so if you are interested, if you ever want to maybe add a form directly from the blank forms, there's a couple of different ways to do so. Once you find the one that you want to use, you're going to check mark it, and then from there, you would come over to the left, click the plus sign, and then you can add that directly to a transaction. You can also print any of these forms by clicking the print button. If you want to email them, you can click on email. And if you want to download one directly, you click on download from there. For example, you have the download as a zip file option. This will allow you to select multiple documents and then add them within a zip file that will be downloaded directly to your computer. And you also have the ability to disable the ability to edit the forms as well once you download them. Another great thing that you can do is, of course, search through the libraries and find exactly what you want. For example, I'm going to use the search term purchase. And then moving down, we have all of the applicable forms in each section. For example, Miami Association of Realtors, we have that request for affirmation presentation of purchase offer. And then from Fannie Mae, we have the VA loan addendum to the purchase contract, the residential real estate purchase and sale contract. So it's looking based on keywords. All right, moving down, we have Florida. We have the residential contract for sale and purchase, also known as the FAR bar contract. We have the release and cancellation of contract for sale and purchase as well, and the CRSP 16, CRS 6, and the as is residential contract for sale and purchase within this section. All right, so that is going to be the forms library. You have access to Miami Association Realtors, again Fannie Mae and Florida. Moving over, the next section that we're going to go into is forms packages. Forms packages, guys, most of the time you're going to have your brokerage where they already create forms packages for you. For example, you have the listing agreement package that might be provided directly from your brokerage, or maybe a purchase package if you're ever representing a buyer as well, located here under brokerage wide. What I wanted to show you guys is how you can create a personal package. For example, you can create a listing agreement package, a listing agreement with the Miami Association's coming soon authorization form, or if you want to create a purchase package that includes the affirmation of purchase offer form, you can do so by coming up here and clicking create new package. All right, from there you would name the package. For example, we're going to go ahead and do the offer package with affirmation. Once you're done, you can go right here and then auto apply it directly to your broker document checklist located right here. Once you're done naming it, you're going to click on create forms package, and then from there it will take you straight into the package where you can start incorporating and adding any forms. So I'm going to click on add blank forms, and then from there we can go ahead and select or search by purchase. And then we found it right here under the Miami Association of Realtors, the request for affirmation and presentation of offer. I'm going to add it to the package like so. We're going to keep going. We're also going to add the Florida contract. We're going to go under Florida, type in purchase, and then we have the residential contract for sale and purchase located right here. Click on add to package. All right, and then from there you have the print, email, download, or copy to package button. If you want to use those options, first you'll need to select the applicable documents in order to print, email, download, or copy to package. All right, again, the main purpose of coming into form packages is to make your life easier, set up your work, set up the forms and addendums before you actually create that transaction. It's just going to allow you to save time so that every time you create a transaction, you don't have to go through the forms libraries every time. All right, the next section is clauses. All right, so within this section, you have access to any statewide clauses. That is still in testing. There hasn't been any made, but you also have access to any brokerage-wide clauses located right here, or if you've created any personal clauses. All right, so in this menu, just to give you guys some ideas of how you can use this, is you can create an as-is clause. You can create a clause name, for example, as is clause, and then you can include clause details. The seller is selling this property in as is condition. Buyer acknowledges and agrees that buyer is accepting the property as is without any warranties, representations, or guarantees, either expressed or implied of any kind, nature, or type whatsoever, from or on behalf of the seller. All right, another cool one that you could do for a buyer, you have this one right here, we have this one right here, living room items included in purchase offer. You can give it a name, for example, buyer, living room items included in purchase offer. And then you can include the clause detail. Also included in this offer is a request that the living room sofa and recliners be included in the purchase. All right, then another one. The next one is the confidentiality clause. We have the name, confidentiality clause, and then we have the clause details. And then we have the final one right here, just to strike some more ideas, confidentiality clause right here. All right, so in order to create a clause, you're going to come over here where you see create new clause. You're going to give that a click. You're going to name it, for example, as is clause. And then from there, you're going to go under new clause details, and then you enter what you want. Once you're done, you're going to click on Save New Clause, and then you'll see it located right down here. All right, now these clauses, what you're going to do is once you create them, you're going to be able to insert them directly into the documentation once you create a transaction. All right, we're going to keep going. The next section is My Files. All right, moving on, you do have the ability to upload any files directly from your brokerage by clicking on Upload Files. From there, you can load them directly from your local device, or from your Dropbox, or from Google Drive. As I mentioned, Form Simplicity does allow you to integrate your Dropbox account and your Google Drive accounts. What you would need to do is click on Dropbox or Google Drive and then sign in, so that the permissions will ask you to allow for the integration. All right. Once you upload a file, you do have the ability to email, fax, or add to a transaction or download. And you also have those set of buttons located right here on the left. If you want to email, fax, add to a transaction, or download, or delete as well. The next section is My eSign. My eSign is going to give you all of the past transactions that you have initiated e-signature on, located within the history here. Moving over, you have the next section, which is My email. This is going to allow you to see any and all email correspondences in this section. Moving over, you have My faxes. The My faxes section will allow you to see any and all faxes in this menu. All right, moving over, we have the next section, which is Contacts. Once you're here, you do have the ability to add a new contact manually. You would just come in here, enter a name. You would include the street address, city, state, zip code, home email, home phone, work phone, cell phone, home fax, work fax, and of course group, lead source, company name, and any notes. For example, you can add some specific notes for Stephen Williams. Maybe he's your buyer. You can come in here and add, and then you can come down to notes and say, Steve wants to offer $550 on property, address, and then from there you can input the address and then click on Create New Contact. This is going to give you more information as a reminder on what you need to do whenever you create your transaction within Form Simplicity. All right, the next section is Groups in Contacts. I'm going to click on that. Groups is super important. You want to make sure that you include your different sets of groups. For example, you can create a seller group. You can also click on New Groups, click on create a buyer group. Once you do so, you can go back into People. And then once you're done, you can input that contact into any of the groups that you've created. From there, you would click on Update Contact. All right, the next section that we're going to go into is Templates. All right, now there's two sections here. There is the task list templates and the email templates. All right, now task templates, guys, most of you guys are going to have checklists that are provided directly by your broker, but you can also create maybe your own personal tasks directly. For example, I made a couple of these. We have the follow up with listing agent regarding offer submitted. For example, maybe you're a buyer's agent and you want to set up a reminder that the listing agent has 2 business days to get back to you regarding your offer. You can create one for that. You can also create one for advise seller listing is active, and also follow up with buyer for signature, and coming soon listings become active. In order to create a task, you're going to come up here where you see create a new task list template. You're going to name it. For example, I'll create one for a pre-listing checklist. Pre-listing checklist. From there, you can auto apply it if you would like. You have select one or more form packages, or set specific criteria for this template. And then you have the second option, which is set specific criteria for this template to be auto applied to, for example, commercial, vacant land, residential, farm and ranch, or based on transaction type, listing, purchase, lease, rental, listing and purchase, or based on transaction status, new, active, pending, closed, leased, rented, expired, withdrawn, terminated, and of course rejected. Once you've named the template, you're going to go right here, click on Save New Task List Template. From there, it's going to add it, and then from there, it's going to ask you to add new template task. All right, from there, you would put reminder to provide pre-listing checklist. From there, you can include an assignee. For example, you can select yourself. And then from there, you can select to be determined. This will be manually assigned after adding to a transaction. This will allow you to add it directly to the transaction where you see to be determined, but you're going to need to include a date when it's due. I'm going to show you guys how to do that in a moment. Or you can go right here and then select relative to a transaction date. You can enter how many days, when, and the actual transaction date located right here. Once you're done, you're going to click on Save New Task. Again, guys, task list templates, what this is used for is to create reminders in the system whenever you're waiting on something to be done or whenever you need to follow up. They're just reminders. All right, moving over, we have the next section, which is email templates. I'm going to go into here real quick. And I created a couple just to, again, spark some ideas. You will have, all right, once you're here, you have the brokerage-wide email templates. These are going to be provided directly from your brokerage. And then we have the next section where you can create your own personal email templates, automatic canned responses that will be that you can pre-build and then add to a transaction. For example, I have a couple here. I have this one to the agent, follow up regarding offer submitted, to customer, follow up coming soon signature reminder, to customer coming soon authorization form, to customer sent them the listing agreement. All right, so the reason why we have this last one here is, for example, this bottom one here that says to customer, send the listing agreement. What this means is that you sent your agreement already, but the seller has not filled out their portion and then signed the agreement. So these are just automatic responses that you can create to follow up. All right, so for example, we'll create one to our customer, reminding them to fill out the listing agreement. So in order to do that, you're going to come up here, click on Create New Email Template. From there, you would enter the template name, to customer, follow up for listing signature. From there, you would select the template type, which this one is going to be personal. Then from there, we have set as my default message for sending. We have the collaboration, invitations, form package, form and files, and the broker checklist documents. All right, so once you name the template, you're going to come down to the email template subject. Then you could put something such as follow up, signature for listing not received. And then from there, you can input your email. And then from there, come down to email template message, and then you can input the message that your customer will receive. You could put something like, good day, following up as I have not received the completed listing agreement package. Please sign and complete at your earliest convenience. Just something like that. Again, the whole point, guys, is to have those automatic responses already pre-made in the system. That's just going to allow you to literally click and then add that to the transaction. Once you're done, you're going to click on Save and Create New. And then that's going to be added directly to your personal email templates. All right, so that is a quick rundown of the blank forms, the My Files section, contacts, and templates. Let's go ahead and put into use those templates that we created, along with the forms packages that we created as well. All right, so in order to do that, you're going to go right here where you see Home. And then from there, in order to start a new transaction, you're going to click right here where you see Start a New Transaction. I do want to also mention that if you are a buyer's agent, the whole goal is to save time. Maybe you have a motivated buyer. They need to buy a property as soon as possible. What you could do is go into the MLS. Once you find that property that your buyer wants, what you're going to do is select the listing number. You're going to go into the listing like so. And then in order to begin the purchase process, you're going to go right over here where you see Form Simplicity. You're going to give that a click. And then when you do so, it's going to automatically add all of the details for that property for you. We're going to get the address, the city, the state, the zip code, the address of the property, the legal description, the year that it was built, the bedrooms and bathrooms, any applicable association fees, the listing number, the date that it was listed, the list price, and if you're working on a rental, you do have the ability to include the seller landlord information located right here. We have the seller landlord agent information located right here. And of course the buyer tenant information if you're working on a rental located right here. And then the buyer tenant agent information located right here. All right. So in order to create a transaction directly from Matrix, once you've reviewed all of the information, from there you're going to click on Save to a Transaction. From there you can select any transactions that are already made, or you can create one directly from scratch. From there we have the street address, and then from there we can include the transaction name, which I do recommend using the same as the street address. Most brokerages do want you to include the address as the transaction name. It's just going to help with filing. From there you can include the property type, which is residential, and then of course the transaction type located right here, which is listing, purchase, listing and purchase, and lease rental. All right, from here we're going to start a new transaction. In this situation we have a seller and we need to send them the listing agreement so that we can input the listing into the MLS. So we're going to go right here where you see start a new transaction. You can easily and then from there you can launch the property with any form packages that you already have available. For example, we have that listing agreement with coming soon authorization, for example, and the listing agreement package, which we created earlier. Or you can start from scratch and then add them later. That's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to go here, input the address of the property. All right, and then the transaction name. Most brokerages have the transaction name the same as the address of the property. So I do want to make sure I mention that. Always reach out to your broker regarding their requirements when it comes to creating transactions in Form Simplicity. Most of the time they want the address to be the same as the transaction name. That way it's easier for the management team or the office administrator to find and then archive each transaction as they take place. From there, I'm going to select the property type. It is residential, but we also have commercial, farm, and ranch, and vacant land as an option. And then from there, we can launch the transaction as either being a listing and purchase, or a lease rental. This one is going to be listing. We're trying to get that listing agreement signed so that we can list this property in the MLS. So from there, I'm going to click Create Transaction. All right, so immediately once you get here, if it's already listed in the MLS, you want to come right here where you see MLS listing ID and then input that listing number. Now our goal in this scenario is we're trying to get the listing agreement signed with our seller so that we can input it into the MLS. So from there, what we want to do is make sure that we import all of the property data directly from the county record. So we're going to come down here and click on Import Property Data. From there, as I mentioned, if it is listed in the MLS, you can select MLS search and then enter the listing number there. This one, in this scenario, it's not listed, so instead we're going to find the property using the tax search. From there, I'm going to enter the address of the property. And then once you do so, just make sure that you select the applicable county. It does auto default to Alachua, but you can change that and then select the applicable, and then you can select the applicable county such as Miami-Dade and then click Find Tax Data. Alright, once it's done, it's going to automatically include the ID, the address, the city, state, and zip code. Just double check and verify that it's the correct address. Once you do so, click Select. From there, we have all of the information, including the legal description, as well as the seller's information that's tied to the property. That's just going to save us some time once we load the transaction. And then from there, we're going to click Save Information to Transaction. And as you can see, it provided us with the full address of the property, including the zip code. We still have the fact that it is a residential property type, and of course the transaction being listing. But from there, we need to enter the list price that we discussed directly with our seller once we sent in that CMA. For example, I'm going to enter the list price of $425,000 and then click Save Data. Now moving over to the left, we do have transaction status. For right now, we're going to keep it as new, but once we get the agreement signed, we add it to the MLS. From there, we can switch it to active. All right, but there's other options. We have pending, closed, leased, rented, expired, withdrawn, terminated, and rejected available. All right. Moving down, we have the next section, which is forms and files. This is how we can add that listing agreement. Now, as I mentioned, you can start with a blank form, look through the forms library, find the exact agreement that you need, or you can preload from any forms packages that you've already created. You do have your brokerage-wide packages that are available directly from your brokerage, or any personal packages that you created in the past, located under personal packages. All right, and then from there we're gonna add them manually using Add Blank Forms. So I'm going to go in here, select library as being Florida, and then from there I'm going to type in a keyword such as exclusive so that we can find the exclusive brokerage listing agreement. Once you find the applicable agreement that you want to add, just make sure to hit the check mark on the left and then click Add to Transaction. All right, moving down, we have the next section, which is files. From there, if you want to add any files directly from your computer, you could do so by clicking Upload Files, or if you want to create file folders, you can also do so by clicking New File Folder. You'll need to enter a name and then enter a description. Once done, click Create File Folder. Moving down, we have the transaction participants that loads directly once we auto-populated the property from the county record. We have the seller's name located here and their position, seller party 1, and the address, our broker, and our information right underneath there. All right, moving up. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can handle forms directly within a transaction. For example, if you want to initiate an e-sign so that you can have your seller sign, you would hit that check mark and then click on e-sign. Once you're done filling it out, if you do want to print it out, you do have the ability to click on print. Or if you want to email the form directly, you can email it, fax it, or merge it as well. Or you can copy directly to a transaction, or you can download if it's required per your office. Once everyone signs, you can also download the completed version as well. Now, as I mentioned, all transactions in Form Simplicity have a unique email that's tied to that transaction, which you can find right up here. And if you want to add a photo for that property, you can do so by clicking Update Property Photo as well, and then upload directly from your computer. Now you're going to notice these buttons on the left. If you click on any document, it will change the menu and then provide you with the same icons that represent these buttons right here on the left. For example, if you want to initiate an e-sign, you can click the button here. If you want to print, you would click here. Email, fax, or merge documents, or if you want to copy to a transaction, or if you want to download, you have those same exact buttons located right here on the left side, as well as the ability to delete any forms and files as well. Good rule of thumb, whenever you're initiating an e-sign with your seller, just make sure that you come down to the transaction and participant section and make sure that you have your client's email located here under their name. Just make sure that you have their name correctly, their address, their their party ID, and then from there you can input their email address. That way the seller gets the document directly and can sign it. You can also include a home number, work number, cell number, or party fax. And you can also include seller party too. Sometimes you may have clients that are married. You can include also the other spouse by clicking select party, seller party 2, input their name, full address, ID, email address as well, so that they can sign home number, work number, cell number, and fax if applicable. Once you make the necessary changes, from there you're going to click Save Seller Information. The seller's information added under participants, you can now effectively launch an e-sign session. From there I'm going to click on e-sign. From there you can review all of the pertinent individuals that need to sign, such as the seller and the listing agent's information, and then from there click Create New e-sign 2.0 session. Now, normally the system will automatically launch the e-signature session. If it does not, you can go right here and then click on the Click Here button. From there, the system will take you to the designated signers section. From there, you can include the seller so that they can sign it, along with seller 2 if applicable, seller's agent, which is ourselves, and we can also include our broker if applicable. Also want to make sure to mention from this menu you can also add additional signers by entering first name, last name, and email address. Mainly when you come here, this is if you have a seller that maybe has legal counsel or it's a part of a trust and you need to make sure that they sign. So you can include their first name, last name, and email address, and then add them as a signer. Once you're done, you're going to click on Next. All right, from there we can include the session title. You can mention, for example, listing agreement signature, like so. You can also set reminders. For example, we can set a 2-day reminder just in case the seller does not sign. We can remind ourselves to get back. Then we can also set a session expiration as well. I'm going to go ahead and select, for example, November 25th. And then we can come down to recipients, and then we can, of course, change the recipient order, who signs first. And we always want to make sure that we include ourselves as a signer as well. We want to make sure that this button's turned on. And then we can also show the signing groups as well by clicking this button. From there, on the go, if you need to add any additional documents, you may do so by coming down to Documents and then uploading directly or getting from the cloud directly. All right. Once you've confirmed everything, just come to the top right corner and then click on Next. And then from there you can review and make sure that the agreement is completed prior to submitting it directly to your seller. In this case, we are missing the beginning date of the agreement and the expiration date. What we can do is leave this session, go back into the transaction, click on the document, and then from there we can edit the document and include some additional details. For example, we can include the listing agreement date, enter the expiration, also include any financial terms per the seller. And then from there we can scroll down, and then if you would like, you can also include any clauses per your seller. So here we can go under Insert Clause, and then we can insert one of the clauses that we created earlier, such as the As Is clause, and then click on Insert. Once you do so, just click on Close, and then it's going to add that clause directly into the additional terms. Once the form is updated to your liking, you can come up to the top and then click on the floppy disk and then click Save Form. And then you'll get a little notice letting you know that it has been saved, which will allow you to safely leave and then go back. From there, now that we've double checked everything, we could relaunch the e-sign session. We can relaunch the e-sign session. And then click on Create New eSign 2.0 session. From there, we'll just need to reconfirm the seller, input their information, include our information as the agent, and then click Next. All right, and then from there, we'll update that session title again. So I showed you originally how you can edit directly from the document, but maybe you're on the go and you want to edit directly from the e-signature section. You do have the ability to use options on the left. We do have the ability to enter additional sections that require signature. We also have the ability to include a section for initials, date and time stamps, form fields, drop-down fields, check marks, add any additional information. We could add text to the document, strike throughs, underline, and of course highlight or check mark. For example, we did enter the list price at being $425,000. Maybe our seller reached out to us and say, hey, let's go ahead and instead offer for $420,000. So you could go here, add a strike through like so, and then you can add corrective text. And then, for example, we can enter the price change like so. Once the document is ready, you can preview it one more time by clicking preview. And you can see all of the information located here. Once the document is good to go, from there you can click on send. From there, the seller will receive an email that they need to sign. Sent two customers, sent them listing agreement. From there we have that subject, just sent you the listing agreement, and then we have the message being sent directly to our client. Good day or evening. We can of course update that. It is the daytime, so we'll put good day. I just sent you the listing agreement. Please sign and complete at your earliest convenience. And then click send collaboration link. From there, the customer will receive an email signing invite exclusive listing agreement. It's going to have that email signature that we worked on earlier, located right here. And then from there, they'll need to click review and sign. From here, this will take them straight into the e-sign process. From there, you'll see your information. Samuel Haynes has sent you documents to review and sign in the session called Exclusive Listing Agreement. After reviewing the packages, click Start to begin signing. Select each of the required fields to apply your signature, initials, and or the date. And then from there, they'll need to click on I agree and then click Start Signing. From there, the seller will simply click. It'll add a signature. They'll click Next, go to the next section, which will require a signature. Next, add their signature, click Next, add their signature, click Next, include the seller's signature, date and time, Next, seller, next signature. Pretty easy, straightforward. It will take them through the process. And then from there, it's going to ask them, would you like to complete your signing ceremony? From there, they will click yes. Once done, since we've added ourselves as the second signer, as the agent, you'll need to click review and sign, and then fill out your portion. And then you'll get a notification that your signing session is now complete. Once done, you will get an email letting you know everyone has signed, like so. From there, you can go back into Form Simplicity, select that transaction, and then from there you will see that the system has completed the exclusive listing agreement that everyone has signed, along with a date and time. The next thing that you can do is come here under Tasks, and then you can create a new task list, or you can load tasks from a template. You have brokerage templates that are available directly from your brokerage located here, or if you've set up any personal templates, you'll have access to that. We're located right here. Here we're going to create one from scratch, create new task list. For example, we can set up a reminder so that we can reach out to our seller and let them know that we have entered the listing into the MLS. So we can go here under task list name, remind seller, listing is live in MLS. From there, click Save New Task List. From there, we can add a new task. Remind seller, listing active. And then under Assignee, we can include ourselves. And then we can enter a specific date. Or we can select relative to a transaction date. For this one, we're going to go ahead and select set to a specified date, and then select, for example, Friday, November 24th, and then from there we're going to click on Save Task. This will work as a reminder, reminding us by Friday the 24th that we need to reach out to our seller and let them know that we have added their property into the MLS system. The last couple of sections that I do want to make sure I go over is section for notes. Each transaction does have a place to enter notes. For example, you can enter notes that are relevant to the transaction, such as things that are missing, things that you need to complete as well, located here. For example, the one that we did is a listing agreement. What we can do is come down here under type of note. We can enter listing agreement package completed. Follow up with seller for showing package. For showing instructions. From there, once done, click on Add New Note. And then it's going to add it towards the bottom, located right here, including a timestamp right there. You also have the ability to edit the note by clicking the Edit button, or if it's no longer relevant to the transaction, you can click on the trash can in order to delete it. Another thing I want to mention regarding the section transactions is you do have the ability to share your transaction directly by clicking this button. And then from there, you can create and or manage a team and then give permissions based on if they can make changes to the document, view commissions, or if you just want them to be able to just see the document. The next section is email history, which will show you the past history of emails being sent directly from Form Simplicity. And then the final section is history, which will show you each time a change happens within the transaction, located here. Moving down, we have the next section that we can go over, which is collaborations. The next section that we have is collaboration. This section allows you to email directly from Form Simplicity. For example, you can click on Collaborate, and then from there you can enter an email address. For example, we will select our seller, add them as a contact, and then we can use any of the templates that we've created earlier. For example, we have the follow-up regarding offer submitted. From here, we can create a reminder. For example, the system does send and then we can preload and then select our customer's name. And we can use one of the email templates that we created earlier. For example, I'm going to select two customers, sent them listing agreement. From there, we have that subject, just sent you the listing agreement, and then we have the message being sent directly to our client. Good day or evening. We can of course update that. It is the day time, so we'll put good day. I just sent you the listing agreement. Please sign and complete at your earliest convenience, and then click send collaboration link. Notes. The next section we have is notes, where we can add any notes. For example, we could put seller completed listing agreement, remind seller to send seller pre-open house checklist. And then from there you can click on add new note. From there you can see, and then from there the next section we have is email history. This will show you the times in which you've sent emails directly to your client or have received, and you of course have access to history, showing you an archived history of all of the changes that have happened within the transaction, including when your seller has signed and completed documents as well, located right here. For example, we completed the listing agreement. If you do want to close out and archive the transaction, you can do so by clicking on archive transaction, or if you want to delete the transaction, you would click on delete as well. This one we're done. We had our seller sign. We also signed as the agent. From there, I'm going to click on archive transaction. From there, it's going to ask you, just as a precaution, are you sure you would like to archive this transaction? From there, I'm going to click on yes, archive transaction. Once you do so, that transaction is going to show up here under archive transactions, along with any previously archived transaction right there. This completes a rundown of the Form Simplicity system. I hope you found this helpful. You can find more tips like this by going to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/miamitrainers. If you made a mistake creating the transaction, you can also click on settings, and then you can change the transaction name, the property type, and also the listing type. If you do make any changes, just make sure to click on update transaction.